Welcome to another edition of Big 12 Picks. I'm Jarret Johnson, and I'm sorry to say there's only one game last week and I lost it. It was West Virginia giving 22.5 points to Kansas. I picked West Virginia to cover. They didn't. So now I'm 9-5 against the spread with my Big 12 picks this season. We have a lot of games this week, so let's just dive right into them. All right, the first one is Kansas at Kansas State. Of course, the Jayhawks are getting a lot of points here. They're getting 19.5 points. Now, I picked West Virginia to cover over Kansas last week, and I didn't. But I tell you what, I still have no faith in the Jayhawks. I'm going with Kansas State at home. They got the whole in-state thing going on. I think Kansas State trounces Kansas. I don't think 19.5 points is enough. So I have Kansas State in that one. All right, another 11 a.m. kickoff is OU at TCU. This is an interesting game. Now, OU is giving 6.5 points to TCU. Now, I know OU, got on track. They beat Texas a couple weeks ago, and that instant classic quadruple overtime or however many it was. And that was a big win for them, but I'm not convinced that they're good enough to be giving TCU 6.5 points in Fort Worth. So I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs. I think Coach Patterson's going to have them coached up, have a good scheme to go against Lincoln Riley's offense. And Rattler's still good for kind of a head slap type turnover or two a game. So 6.5 is too much. I think TCU covers that one. Now this is an intriguing game. You have Baylor at Texas. 2:30 kickoff. Man. Texas giving 8.5 points. I still feel like I don't know what the deal is with Baylor. They've had so many games postponed or canceled due to COVID-19. So whether it be contact tracing or guys actually being sick or the other team being sick, I feel like we saw Baylor take West Virginia to overtime in Morgantown, but they have Charlie Brewer and they're probably going to be pretty good on defense, but just what do they have? I don't know. But I tell you what, I have a pretty good idea what Texas has, and they're just not a very good football team right now. And so to be giving 8.5, I know it's in Austin, but no, I think Baylor's going to be up to play Texas. They may win it outright. So and that's without me knowing exactly the full extent to how many guys Baylor might have out. But I think Baylor with the points for sure. I'm taking the Bears at 8.5 points. All right, another 2:30 game, and this is the marquee game. Not only this week, but it might be the marquee game for the entire Big 12 regular season. Of course, till the Big 12 championship. You have Iowa State, who's undefeated in the Big 12, versus Oklahoma State, who's also undefeated. You have the Cowboys at home giving up 3.5 points to the Cyclones. Whew, that's a tough one. I picked Iowa State to win the Big 12 championship in the preseason. Theoretically, they could lose this game and still maybe even beat Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship. There's something about Iowa State, man, I'm just really impressed by. I think they're a well-rounded team. I don't think they're a great team. I don't think this team is like maybe not even a playoff caliber team, especially since they lost to Louisiana. But I think it is a team good enough to win the Big 12, and I think it's a team good enough to go into Stillwater and beat the Cowboys. So, despite with the Cyclones getting the points, I think it could be a really close game. I'm going to take Iowa State. And last but not least, Texas Tech hosts West Virginia. Now, the Red Raiders have lost 3 in a row. They're 0-3 in Big 12 play. They barely beat Houston Baptist. So, it's easy to see why a lot of people will be taking West Virginia, who's only given up 3 points to the Red Raiders. West Virginia team that's 3-1, 2-1 in the Big 12. Their only loss is to Oklahoma State. So, they beat Baylor in overtime. And then they beat Kansas, which, that's honestly not that big a deal. But, I think there's some things matchup-wise. Now, first off, let me get this out of the way. I think West Virginia is West Virginia is a solid team. I really like their defensive front. Letty Brown's a very good running back. I really like Coach Neil Brown. When Texas Tech was going through the interview process, he was a name that popped up, and though they didn't do an official interview, he was a guy that I know was at least considered. I think Matt Wells was the guy that athletic director Kirby Hocutt wanted, and I know I feel like Neil Brown gets a bad rap with some Tech fans because he was the offensive coordinator for Tuberville when Tommy Tuberville was here, who's, let's face it, hated in Raiderland. But I feel like Neil Brown's a smart coach. Most of the media I've talked to who really got a chance to get to know Neil Brown really think he's a smart guy and has a really good sound football mind. So I have a lot of respect for Neil Brown. And I think that program's going to do a lot of good things under him. But for this week, I think Texas Tech's receivers are actually going to have some pretty good success against West Virginia's defense, which is rated as the best both against the pass and the run in the Big 12. So it's going to be tough, but Tech's got some veteran receivers. I really like Henry Colombi. I don't think he's your normal backup kind of guy. I think he's going to be a huge improvement over Bowman. There's going to be more rhythm to the offense. I think he's going to help not only in the passing game, but also in the running game. And I think the defense has shown small baby steps improvement throughout the year. I think they're going to do enough to bottle up Lady Brown, force Jarret Johnson to make some plays with his arm. And I just feel like in the end, Texas Tech's going to do enough to win a very close game. But I do have the Red Raiders beating the Mountaineers in their game, which kicks off 4:30 Central Time, Saturday at the Jones in Lubbock. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.